I'm living my best life. Yeah, yeah. I'm living my best life. Made a couple M's, you know. I said, I'm living my best life.
Now on 1030 The Voice, it's time for Kiki's Keys.
I said, I'm living my best life. I said, I'm living my best life. Made a couple M's with my best friends. Turned all my L's into lessons.
Here's your host, Kiki Rogers.
Welcome, friends, to Kiki's Keys, to unlocking your best life, sharing stories of people who have been through their worst and are now living their best. And I am here facing someone who really has her best smile on today. You are glowing, Miss Alison.
Oh, thank you.
Alison Beck is a very successful and motivated and compassionate financial advisor here in Tucson. And she had the honor of getting a pretty significant promotion today. I know we can't talk about the company itself because of rules and everything, but congratulations. You want to share your big announcement?
Thank you so much. Yes, I was promoted to a regional vice president today. And what that means is I now get to keep 100% of what I make, and I am the broker.
Awesome. Congratulations. I am so happy for you, and I can just see it. It's like radiating off you today. And this just worked out. You were my guest as well. I invited Alison to be part. We're members of the same BNI group, Rainbow Connections. So we just met recently through there. And you look like you have something to say.
Oh, no. I was just seeing if I was close enough to the microphone.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, so that's the one for the day. I always say every show we have to have one moment where I go off the rails slightly. So back on track, folks. So yeah, Alison has a very successful financial advising business that she now owns 100% of. And she also comes with quite an amazing story that you had the opportunity to first tell your story through Jessica Corp. Am I saying that right? Through her photography project. Tell us a little bit more about what it was like doing that project and what you learned about yourself through that interview.
So when I did the project with Jessica, it's called The Power of Her, I felt very vulnerable. I don't think I've even sent it to my father to read. I just laid it all out, and it was so healing and so cathartic for me. And I felt like other women were reaching out to me and thanking me for sharing my story, because now that I'm on the other side of most of it, a lot of them are still in the middle of it, and it gave them a lot of hope. So it felt really good to get out there.
Well, thank you for doing that and sharing that with me, sharing that article. I'll go ahead and post the article on my Facebook today, too, for anyone else who's interested in it, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so definitely I'm like, Allie, you would be excellent on this show. Talk about a worst to best story. You shared with me, and if you don't mind, for our audience who haven't read the article yet, tell me a little bit about those negative patterns that you found in your life and how that came from your childhood.
So in my formative years, I was really taught that anger and love go hand in hand, and that people who loved you would get angry and then they would make it all better. And so I was in this constant cycle of fight or flight. And then on top of that, money was used to control. For instance, if I was given, let's say, $100 from somebody, then I was expected to essentially do their bidding and do whatever they said.
There was always a catch to it, or like a condition?
Always. It came with strings. And I was also really taught that everybody came before me. Not with my dad, just in case he's hearing. Not you, Dad. But I was taught that everybody came before me and all their needs came before me. And so in doing so, I just continued to replicate that pattern in my life because that's what was comfortable and familiar.
And so that was what you knew from childhood, and you took that in, and I think you had shared a couple of relationships, at least 3 of them, that ended up not only not being beneficial, but you call it straight up abusive.
Yeah, they were. It, like I said, that was my comfort zone. The cycle of abuse, whether it was physical or verbal, was still that you have a blow up and then they're real nice, and then you lead up to another blow up. And I definitely repeated that cycle in 5 of my adult relationships. 5.
Well, 5 of them. Yeah. See, I had a feeling there were more than just the few, because I get that myself. In my younger years, my most recent husband and I were together for a very long time, but there was a window between 18 and 24 before I met Aaron that I was kind of going from one to another as well. So I understand that cycle of abuse, that cycle of patterns. How did you come to face those patterns and tell yourself that you wanted to do differently?
So actually, it's really interesting. My ex-husband and I went to couples therapy, and our therapist said to him, "You are abusing your wife and you're abusing your family, and if you don't go seek therapy on your own, I can't help you." And that's really when my eyes opened to that, oh, this is not normal.
To hear someone else say it to you?
I needed to hear somebody else say it. So that was in 2019. So just to give you an idea,
that was not very long ago. It's just 5 years ago.
It was just 5 years ago. And if you saw me, you would never guess, because I'm pretty outgoing, I'm friendly, I'm bubbly. But, at home, it wasn't so fun.
But you did finally say, I want to change.
I did. And actually what helped that was learning finance, which is actually counterintuitive to who I am because I'm an artist.
Okay.
And learning this craft allowed me to leave him because for the first time in my life, I was financially stable on my own.
And that's a huge accomplishment for anybody that's been in a codependent relationship, and when finances and money can be used as a tool of manipulation. Yeah. It sounds like you had to relearn how you have relationships, not only with other people, but also with money in of itself.
Oh, absolutely. It all kind of ties together. I mean, money, we give a lot of power to money in our culture. We let it control our emotions. We get stressed out. We get depressed. But truthfully, it's just a tool. And it's a tool that most of us aren't taught how to use. And so because of that, we're just all over the place. I mean,
so how you got introduced to this, you were working at Sam's Club, a random stranger, and you got into a conversation. Tell us about him and about that conversation and what took place.
Okay. So, he came up to me. I was selling cell phones. I was very embarrassed to be selling cell phones at 45 at Sam's Club. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, you'd be perfect for my financial firm." And my brain completely turned off at that time. And I looked at him and I dead in the eye and I go, "I'm financially independent. Thanks." Because I was so triggered and embarrassed and ashamed. Little did he know, my lights weren't always on. I was taking bags of coins to the grocery store to get money. I mean, I was probably at rock bottom. And I got really desperate about 6 months later and I hunted him down.
How did you find him?
All I can remember was, he's not there anymore, so I'm going to give you this information, but all I can remember was his name was Brian, it was finance, and Oracle Road. Those were the 3 things I could remember, and I Googled.
I think I can think of 3 Brians I know off Oracle Road in business of some sort. So yeah, that still was quite a needle in the haystack.
It was. And I finally guessed. I left a message at the office, and they called me back, and I went in for an interview, and he said to me, "You don't have to know about finance. You just have to be a good person. You got to want to help people, and you need to listen to what I say, and I will teach you it."
I totally get it. I mean, because I too, in similar fields, I think it's about that trust and relationship that we build with our clients. And then that knowledge comes with experience and time and our mentors. And it sounds like Brian was a good mentor for you.
He was in the beginning, but
okay.
Interestingly enough, he was another one of those angry love people who I had to disengage from. And
again, that could be any Brian. We aren't calling anyone.
No, we're not calling any. He's not there anymore. He's not there anymore. Yes, definitely not. I mean, I'm just saying, like, for me, it was very hard for me to stand up and let people know what was going on.
And I love how you told him at first, "Oh, I'm financially independent," when at the time you probably felt complete opposite of that. But you spoke it, I know a lot of people believe in either the power of prayer or God or manifestation, but you spoke it out loud. Do you think you were trying to convince yourself as much as you're trying to convince him?
Oh, I'm sure I was. And I do believe in the power of spoken word and sonics. And that's how I start my day every day, is speaking things into fruition.
That's awesome. So we're going to go into break just briefly to give some love to our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be able to be here talking to Miss Alison Beck on Kiki's Keys to Unlocking Your Best Life. We will be back right after this.
Halfway done, you're doing great.
What does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. I'm Chris Weiss, your Oro Valley Edward Jones financial advisor. Count on me for financial strategies that can help support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. Contact me today at 520-225-0045 and let's find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Are you ready to experience the great outdoors like never before? Look no further than Network Outdoors, your ultimate destination for adventure and exploration. With a wide range of outdoor expert guidance, Network Outdoors is your gateway to unforgettable experiences in nature. Whether you're a seasoned adventurer or just starting out, we have everything you'll need to make your outdoor dreams a reality. Visit us at networkoutdoors.com and start your next adventure today. Network Outdoors, where every step is a new journey.
Sarah Souders with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty is a rare find in luxury real estate. A Tucson native, Sarah Souders with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty values loyalty, communication, and honesty, and pledges those same values to her customers. With a keen eye for interior design, detail, and function, she'll guide you as you prepare your home for the market. Call Sarah Souders, MLS number 619489 of Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty at 520-305-6974, or go to sarahsoudersrealtor.com today.
They're calling you. Yeah, I know. Oh, I hear it.
And welcome back to Kiki's Keys to Unlocking Your Best Life, sharing stories of people who have been through their worst and are now living their best. We air on every Saturday live at 4 p.m. on KVOI, The Voice, 10:30 a.m. in Tucson region. Also, you can find my website, www.kikiskeys.life, or on YouTube or Facebook, just search Kiki's Keys and you will find me out there. I am here today with Alison Beck, a financial advisor here in Tucson, talking about her patterns that she identified of giving herself up for relationships and allowing people to abuse her, and finding those patterns and finding that strength within to make a change. And you were sharing, you met this financial advisor that took you under their wing for the time being, and then you've just taken off since then. They are not even in the business anymore, and you're just succeeding brilliantly. And you were telling me off the air, you also really used a tool from Steve Harvey. Do you mind sharing more about that?
I would love to share it. You can Google it. It's on YouTube. What you want to find is Steve Harvey's 300 list. And he talks about how he was homeless. I didn't know if you knew he was homeless.
I did not.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't either. I've only seen the polished Steve Harvey, but apparently he was homeless. And what he did was he wrote down a list of 300 things that he wanted in his life, 300 things. very specific things. And he read it every morning and every evening. And he said that is the power of the spoken word, because not much else about his life changed other than he read it out loud to himself twice a day. And he went from being homeless to the Steve Harvey we know today using that 300 list. And so one thing that I do is I've recorded myself because I'm lazy. I recorded.
No, you're efficient.
I'm efficient. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. Yes, you're right. I'm not going to be self-deprecating. I'm efficient. I work smarter, not harder.
There you go.
So I recorded myself saying it, and every time I plug in my phone, it reads me my 300 list. And so I listen to it every morning as I'm getting ready.
That is so smart. I mean, I'm all about the affirmations. I got Nancy Jones recommended. I have one that doesn't only say good morning, but I love you, Kiki. I have to tell myself every morning. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So you got your list of 300. How long did it take for you to write that list out?
It was not an easy list. Like, you may think you want 300 things, but most of us don't. So
Right.
the first 25 were pretty easy, but then I had to really get deep. Like, one of the things I really want to do is in memory of my mother, create a butterfly garden. But it was just this concept. So my list says I want to create a garden at Hershey Montessori in Ohio. That's a place we own. And I want to make it accessible to everybody is the next thing. And so each thing I really dug deep on so that I could see it and feel it and visualize it.
Well, in order to get anywhere, we need to have some sort of roadmap, some way of knowing what steps to get there. Otherwise, it's just a dream and not a goal. So what are some of those goals that you had on your list that you have already knocked out?
Oh, I've knocked out a lot of them, to be honest. One is I wanted 2 assistants. I have that.
Congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
Makes a difference, too.
Thank you. Hitting regional vice president was a big one. I hit that. Some of them involving my kids, where they all have safe and reliable cars. Not all of them are huge. One of them is I haven't knocked it out, but one of the things that I'm actively working on is paying off the lunch debt in Tucson.
I did read that in your article. You really want to be able to benefit the schools and the children. I think that's great. Have you started making steps towards making that happen?
So yes and no. I have a fund for it, just my own savings. The downside is you can't go in and just give them a lump sum donation. You either have to pay it all or know a student, because they can't willy-nilly decide who eats and who doesn't.
Or you just take the same percentage off of everybody kind of thing.
Yeah, it was not easy to work with the schools, to be honest. So,
okay. Well, if anyone is listening that's a teacher or administrator of a school that really wants to work with Allie on that goal, definitely reach out. In fact, if someone does want to get a hold of you, do you have a website or information you'd like to share?
Oh, sure. That's great. So you can go to my website. It's alibeck.org, ALIBECK.org. Click on Get in Touch. It'll take you right to my calendar.
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about those first steps you took, leaving abusive relationships and starting your own career in finances. You had a mentor that said, you don't have to know it all. You can just get started where you're at. What were some other pivotal steps in your career?
Well, I had to get licensed, and I was a 45-year-old mom who hadn't been to school in a very long time. So that was absolutely daunting. And I was so grateful to my mentor because he had set up a system called a guarantee system, and I was able to go through it and pass all of my tests relatively quickly. So I got all of that done before I left, which was pivotal because, I needed.
Oh, I get it.
those.
I was just messaging my assistant today who's taking her test in 2.5 weeks. Yeah. And so I'm really excited for her as well. And so I remember it was just 3 years ago when I retook everything because I was in Minnesota when I first got licensed, and then I let that lapse. And so then I got licensed down here. And at also 45 years old at the time, it's not easy, learning new things as we get into our perfect age, right?
Oh, yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I was like, how do I say this? I got kind of backed myself into a corner there, but
yeah.
But it is a challenge relearning things. as
Yeah.
you do get a little bit older.
It really is. I think the biggest thing for me though, Kiki, was just making that decision and being strong in it and not having any doubts in my mind
Good
that
for you.
I was leaving.
And you did better than you probably expected, correct?
I could not in my wildest dreams have expected that my life would be like this right now.
So let's talk about that. What does it mean to be living your best life, Allie?
Well, oh my gosh, I get to wake up and really do whatever I want every day. Now, whatever I want almost always involves going to my office and helping people, because I get a charge out of helping people that I think honestly that's part of the endorphin hit from from having a narcissistic mother, but I'm able to do it in a healthy way. I get to come home when I feel like it. I have a house that is clean all the time. Just like the little things like that. I can go to the grocery store and not worry about prices. I used to carry a notepad with me, and I had to write down every cent to the penny and then round it up for tax to make sure that whatever I had in my wallet was enough to pay for food. That's huge.
That is. I mean, we don't want to give too much weight to money in of itself, because the love of money is the root of all evils. However, as you said, it still is a tool.
Right.
And it's still silly to go through life thinking you can push in every nail without a hammer. You know, you're going to have that tool to hit your goals, to accomplish those 300 things on the list. So what is one of the biggest lessons about money that you learned that surprised you?
Well, that's a really good question. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that we live in abundance. And the reason why most people don't, and if you go to Proverbs, it actually says that we are supposed to live in abundance so that we can bless others. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And the reason why 95% of us are not living in abundance is because they don't understand basic financial principles, which we aren't taught. I mean, I worked when I was 16. They gave me a paycheck, no instructions. I buy a water bottle, 2 pages of instructions, right?
You're absolutely correct. Right. Yeah, we get instructions and warning labels on everything, but not with our cash, you know?
Yeah. So how are we magically supposed to know what to do? And I have a mentor who's making $2.5 million a year. And I said to him, Assad, when are you going to retire? And he said, there's still children who are cold. There's still people who are hungry. I can't stop until that's eradicated. And those are the powerful things we could do when we're able to create a lot of money.
And you have a big dream as well, or goal on that list. We should say goal, not dream. But you want to help house the unhomed, and you want to help provide a small neighborhood or community to those who are unsheltered. You want to help those children who are unable to afford their lunches at school. The fact they even have to pay to begin with boggles my mind. But that heart to serve others, where has that led you in your career?
In my career?
Or in your life?
Well, I can tell you that my clients invite me to weddings, funerals, brunches. I think that it's fed back to me hugely, because
those relationships.
Yeah, when I sit down with people, they can see in my eyes that I am out there to help them, and I get a hit of dopamine when I help people. Yeah.
And you're also a mother. You have 3 daughters? 5 daughters.
I have 5 daughters.
5 daughters. And your youngest is 17, was it?
Right, she's 17.
So they're all kind of going into adulthood, that last one on the tails. How do you communicate that to them and to our listeners?
How do I communicate?
What are your goals for them, or how they can live their lives?
My goal is that they can live their true purpose.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, obviously, again, it comes back to money. So my oldest daughter is a best-selling author. I'm so proud of her, but they don't get paid much. So I help her. My second one is in the medical field. She works in the inner city. Again, she needs some help because they don't pay anything. So my goal for them is they don't have to do things for fear of not having a house or being able to eat, that they can live their true purpose.
That's awesome. We're about out of time. So thank you, Allie Beck. The website again real quick is?
It's alliebeck.org, ALIBECK.org.
And this is Kiki's Keys to Unlocking Your Best Life. If you are catching us on YouTube or on our Facebook channel, Instagram is coming soon. Please like, subscribe, comment, all of those good things. And until next week, go be the best you that you can be, because nobody else can do it better than you.
He's not looking up. Woo, that was fast. You're amazing. Oh, I got a little tripped up. Sorry. No, I did. It was a poorly worded.
We Care Tucson is a remarkable organization dedicated to creating a thriving, sustainable, and interconnected community in southern Arizona with a strong focus on bridging the digital divide and providing access to essential medical equipment and supplies. Their mission is to cultivate an equitable and sustainable community. We Care Tucson firmly believes that everyone deserves the opportunity to lead a healthy and fulfilling life, regardless of their socioeconomic status or housing situation. We Care Tucson aims to restore hope and dignity. Join them in making a difference.
What does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. I'm Chris Weiss, your Oro Valley Edward Jones financial advisor. Count on me for financial strategies that can help support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. Contact me today at 520-225-0045 and let's find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The one constant in life is change. Throughout our lives, we will go down roads that we never imagined, and we need to be prepared for whatever comes our way. Want to own your future? Contact Country Financial Representative Kiki Rogers. Kiki Rogers can help put a solid plan in place with insurance solutions to help make sure you're protected for what lies ahead. Get started today. Contact Kiki Rogers at 520-837-0194 for Country Financial.